Yeah, I'm petrified.
I have crazy stage fright. I probably puked for like the first 2 or 3 years of improv before like every show.
It's pretty intimidating to get on stage and make things up as you go.
The fear is literally, will I know what to say? Will I blank? Will everyone hate me? Will I get booed off the stage?
I think I'm more afraid now than I was when I first started improvising.
Of course I have fear on stage. It's very vulnerable.
Yuri, you're a dummy! Yuri dummy!
I am so sorry.
When I was in high school, my friends and I discovered surrealism. That's the kind of kid I was. I think that's something that I noticed with a lot of improvisers. A lot of improvisers weren't the class clowns. A lot of improvisers were sort of the shy, funny ones.
Growing up as a kid, I was not the center of attention. I was really much like a tertiary character in everyone's story. Even my own story. I was never like the main character.
The funniest thing about my comedy career is I have one at all. I remember when I was little, my Uncle Tony came and gave me and my little brother gifts. And he gave my little brother like one of those pocket like video games. And he gave me a dictionary. And like that's entirely everything you need to know about my childhood.
I was actually really shy when I was very young and like a little bit weird. If I thought a joke was funny, I would laugh for like longer than is normal, to the point that it started to annoy people.
Growing up, I was the class clown, but I grew up in like a very tiny place. So we didn't have like art and stuff. I was the only person like doing stuff like that then. So everybody else was like in 4-H and had cows and stuff. And I'm like, I'm doing this thing. I even went to college for general business. And then after that, I was like, I'm moving to New York to be an actor.
Where's my fucking Uber driver? Really want to take you home. Give it to you like a gentleman. Trains are running local. It's gonna take forever to get home. You won't be in the mood. I'll be upset. I need a goddamn Uber driver. Ring, ring. Yes.
Hello, sir. This is your Uber?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm on the corner of Spring and Broadway.
You were nowhere near it.
Describing improv to someone who doesn't have any idea what improv is a hard thing to do. Usually I'll start with a frame of reference. I'll say, have you ever seen Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Theater with no script. But until people see it, it's an abstract concept. We have an audience of a lot of people that have never seen improv before. And so we have started saying,
Welcome to China.
we're going to do a show for you. Everything is completely unplanned and totally made up, which is redundant. But we need to just repeat it because people don't, like, sure, but what part? And we just go, all of it.
It's pretty intimidating to get on stage and make things up as you go.
I'm afraid everything's going to go wrong. My teammates will hate me, I'll make all the wrong choices, I'll say something wildly offensive or inappropriate. Once the show has started, that all this goes away and it's just, what did they just say?
When you first start improvising, the fear is literally, will I know what to say? Will I blank? Will everyone hate me? Will I get booed off the stage?
I have crazy stage fright. I probably puked for like the first 2 or 3 years of improv before like every show. I'm very anxious until I'm on stage.
Yeah, I'm petrified. And the shows where I'm not nervous, they're usually terrible shows. But the ones that I am nervous are the ones that tend to go better. And I think there's something about like having a little bit of adrenaline that makes you sharper and also means you're connected.
If I'm on stage, I am instantly aware of people in the audience not paying attention. I feed off of it and I react to it without actively thinking about it. And that's my fear, is that people are bored. because now I'm not cool. And nobody wants that.
You can feel it when an audience is really watching you with interest. They don't have to say anything. They don't even have to laugh. You just feel it. All of a sudden, you just have this incredible state of attention where you're not really thinking about the next thing you're going to do. You're just alert. And whenever there's like a slight shift in the energy of the room, you're so alert that you're receptive to it, and people are receptive to that. And it becomes this incredible feedback loop in the room of everybody paying close attention to everything. It feels amazing.
No matter what I'm feeling before I walk on stage, when I get on stage, I feel confident that I'm going to make it work. I also know that worst case scenario, I'll have a bad show. It's not a big deal. You just get over it. You go have a beer with your team afterwards and you forget about it.
Hey, why am I not invited? Is it because I'm a staunch Republican?
No, I didn't know that.
Oh, sure you didn't. Oh, exclude Dale, because he's a staunch Republican.
I guess the thing that lit the spark was the idea that you could just be creative and creating stuff on the spot without any sense of judgment or filter as to what ideas are good or bad. There was just nothing precious about it.
I am not like a desk job person, as you probably can see. So I just like performing, and every time I go off to pursue something else, like under the radar, I get sucked back in to somebody's stage. So I must perform. That's why I do it.
I hate it when people look at me. Walking down the street, if I go into a store, my whole mode is I'm not going to give you a reason to look this way. But if I know that 70 people have agreed to come to a room and look at me, they're just going to let me do my thing and they're going to be appreciative of it, is a dream come true.
Every time before I get on stage, I feel like, oh, why am I doing this? Oh, I feel so nervous, this is gonna be terrible. But when you really commit and try, you have these little moments where you can just inject joy into people's lives. You can just like connect and then sometimes do like just a line or a scene or a move or support, and it just it changes the body chemistry of the people in the room. They're like, oh wow, I got to witness that, and no one else will ever see it again. It has this magic chemistry to it.
Showing up for a show was always a miserable experience for me because I'm a very shy person. But then something else takes over. It's this muscle memory that as soon as you get out on the stage, you kind of feel parts of your brain come online and your body relaxes and you just have this connection with someone and you start to explore that connection. And then before you know it, you're in the middle of this pretend that's happening and you can't even remember how you got there. And it's a really incredible feeling.
Well, Catcher in the Rye, yes. Huh, yeah. Shall we? Let's. It's a small book. Yeah. That was my first observation, is this sense of tiny. It was very light. I appreciated it. You know? Why waste my time with a lot of stuff when you can, you know, edit, cut, you know? Pare it down, you know? It's the haiku of novels, you know what I mean? Nice and short and sweet.
Dominic, did you not read?
I did read it. I did read it.
Everyone has their own relationship with humor, how it fits into their own life. And most of the time, it becomes a tool for human beings to use comedy for whatever purpose. If you are funny, it's a benefit to get those around you to pay attention to. It makes you seem smarter, it makes you seem interesting, you're fun to be around. That's why I find a lot of comedians are weird looking. Because beautiful people, while there's plenty of funny, beautiful people, they tend to have less of a need to be funny. There's a natural biological attraction to attractive people. So those people that are a little weird or not super attractive highly benefit from making others laugh.
What I've found through meeting comedians specifically is they more remind me of poets There's an introspective quality for a comedian, I guess like poetry, like extremely sensitive, a huge emotional vocabulary. You want those things heard and validated, whether you know it or not.
Being funny is one of the few places where you can't fake intelligence. You can trick people into thinking that you're charming. You can trick people into thinking a lot of things. You can't trick people into thinking that you're funny. And I think that a lot of people love to perform partly because it feels good. It feels good to kind of know, like, this is something about myself that is kind of true and I'm confident about.
You want to control when people are laughing at you. It's not that they're laughing at you, it's that you made them laugh. They're laughing with you. On a simpler level, I think it's also just really fun to get a laugh. Like, I think anyone who tries improv and gets a big laugh, it's exhilarating.
Oh my goodness. Did you hear about the murder at the YMCA?
What? Did I?
Yes, there was a murder.
At the YMCA?
The very one.
Oh, that seems very anti-Christian.
Well, I should say so.
I must ask, was it young men who died?
It was a young man, a young Christian man.
It's completely magical that you are creating something in the room with that audience and it'll never happen again. And it's a really intimate experience that's not repeatable.
I think seeing anything live is better. I mean, I feel that with music and theater. I think it's the process of watching everyone figure it out together, and it is like a big peekaboo. When we laugh at something, it is like a recognition of a shared experience or a shared truth.
It sounds very like jazz music when you say, oh, we did the show and now it's over and it's done and it's in the ether and we move on.
Those scenarios, those characters, those lines, those words, they just exist and then they disappear.
You can't recreate it because so much of it is about witnessing people discover the reality that they're in.
The ephemeral part of improv is one of my favorite parts about it, actually. You're kind of creating one enormous inside joke that only belongs to the people in that room at that time. And when you walk away from it and you sort of know that we all contributed our part, we all contributed a part of our psyche and a part of our kind of soul to be here, it really does feel like this only belonged to us. Nobody outside this room will ever quite know what was special about that.
It's very different from working on a script or a play or something where like you work forever on this one thing and you can produce it over and over and hone it and improve upon it. Being able to be present and not plan ahead, we're used to in our lives, like planning and controlling everything.
That's why you gotta show up and show out and give it your all. Because you would never get this moment back, you would never get this show back, you would never get this scene back. So go fucking hard in the paint now. Because there's no retakes, there's no stopping the camera. You gotta kill that shit then.
It kind of connects people in a way of, like, oh, you had to have been there for this moment. If you go to see a stand-up, you're expecting them to present you with something. Whereas if I go to an improv show, I have no idea what's going to happen. You don't know. And I think we're all delighted if it goes well.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
The fans are really giving it to me out there.
Oh, yeah.
Booze all around.
They got real personal with those insults.
Oh.
I mean, did you hear what they said about your wife, man?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's true, but like to have
Yeah.
a whole arena of people chanting, she's a slut, she's a slut. It's like, I know! I married her!
Yeah, I know. And I'm like, can we use a better word?
When you take an improv class, you'll see that everyone comes from so many different walks of life, and everyone came in with a different intention. You're going to meet really interesting people and be exposed to so many different ideas right away in like the first class. You should take at least one class for the experience of it all.
Watching people discover the joy of improv and also the fear of improv and how they protect themselves from being uncomfortable or fearful As an improv teacher, I have to get people past these bad habits, and the thing that's in the way are their personal insecurities. So I don't try to run my classes like therapy, but people connect these dots to their own lives, and they're actually forced to think about themselves.
Just going through an experience that was scary and coming out and being like, oh, I'm fine, actually makes a big difference, not only to how a team works together, but how an individual feels. Just the act of doing something you're afraid of it's hard for that not to be a growth experience for someone.
It's a way for you to be intimate with other people, and it's a way for you to be emotional with other people, and a way for you to be playful with other people. And I think you exercise all these things that as a grown-up you kind of keep sort of buried away inside of you. I have a theory that on some level people are attracted to show up to improv theaters and learn this stuff just because it gives you practice at face time. It gives you practice on how to just be with other people.
You know, if you're not able to express yourself, and also if you're not able to connect with people, I think that's when you feel dissociated. And one of the great things about improv is it creates a sense of community because you have a bunch of people who are suddenly like sharing things with each other.
And I think that's one of my favorite things about improv is like you can take failure and transform it into opportunity. If we could all kind of like walk around in life and be like, I messed up, and laugh about it, then we'd all be much healthier people.
I really believe that everyone in the world would be happier if they took an improv class. In improv, there's like you can't really judge what you're getting from your scene partner because your full attitude is like, how can I make that great? Not how is that bad? And so I truly believe that if everyone could just be like a little bit more like that in the rest of their lives, which might start with taking an improv class, people would just be happier. I know that sounds like very rosy and corny, but I just think improv is great.
If I had to convince you to take an improv class, I would say it's probably going to be the funnest thing you ever did in your life. If you're afraid of it, that's awesome, you know, because you get to do this scary thing and you realize it's no big deal. And who knows, you know, you might find that you really enjoy it and you're actually tremendous at it, and maybe you're the next big thing. Who knows?